Right, in this lesson we're going to be taking a look at string bending. Now the three types of bends, and the most common types of bends that we're going to be looking at in this lesson, there's a half step bend, a whole step bend, and a 1.5 step bend. So a half step bend is where you're bending up just a single fret like this. A whole step bend is where you're bending up 2 frets like this. And a 1.5 step bend, which is a little bit more sketchy, is bending up 3 frets. So the way that you execute a bend is this part of your hand right here along the side of your first finger is resting underneath the neck of the guitar, and now your fingers stay locked in place when you're doing a bend. The bend itself doesn't come from movement of your fingers, instead it comes from your wrist. So you've got this part resting under the neck of the guitar, and we're going to be bending using the 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and we want to rotate our wrist in that sort of direction in order to execute a bend. So the 2 fingers that I mainly bend with is my 3rd finger and my 2nd finger. I never bother, apart from like doing a half step bend, I never do whole step or 1.5 step bends with my 1st finger. The 2 fingers I mainly bend with is my 2nd and my 3rd finger. The 3rd finger is always the easiest because you've got your 1st and your 2nd finger behind it to aid it in the bend. And when you bend as well, your thumb curves above the neck of the guitar to kind of give it more support. You don't want to be bending with your thumb down the back of the neck of the guitar like this. You always want your thumb to be above the neck of the guitar when bending. So you just rotate your wrist into the bend. And my fingers, once again, are locked in place. I don't use the muscles from my fingers to perform a bend. It's all in the wrist, and it's just that rotating motion. So to practice it, if once again, I'm on the 7th fret of the G string, want to do a half step bend, so I play a note a half step up. So from this note to that note is where I want to bend to. And it's a good bit of ear training as well, because then you can kind of gauge when the pitch is just about right. So use that to practice a half step bend, a whole step bend, and a 1.5 step bend. Like that.